Hey everybody, Edo here, and tonight we are going to do the 2017 Kickstarter Top 10. I have Seth Johnson here with me. Say hello, Seth.
Hello, hello. I look forward to doing this every year.
All right, so a couple things to start off with. One, this is top 10 Kickstarters that I reviewed in 2017. Most have not fulfilled. A couple have. But so these are games that are going to come out in 18, most likely. The other thing is, if you recall, if you saw my 2017 video, I had been watching Hot Ones, and I love that show. Great show.
Yeah.
Season 3 has been awesome. Season 4, tons of cool hosts, and new sauces and all that. But we went hot sauce by hot sauce by hot sauce, through and through. And it was cool. It's a fun video if you want to watch it. But I felt like I ran out of the ability to talk about the games. It truly inhibited me doing it. I also was missing a sauce. I was missing Blair's Mega Death Sauce, which I now have.
Completely collection.
Oh, complete the collection. And then there's also Hot Ones released this last year, The Last Dab, which is even crazier, hotter than the previous one. So I thought about it a lot, and here's what we're going to do. And, if it's disappointing or not, I apologize, but whatever. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do honorable mentions in the Kickstarter Top 10. I'm then at 5 going to do Blair's Mega Death Sauce with Liquid Rage with a dab on it for this episode. And then it's going to be unbearable. You might have to talk for a while, and then we'll go on and we'll finish. We're then going to record the Top 10 games of 17. And in that video, I'll then switch over to doing a dab of The Last Dab. So it's not like the whole spectrum of wings, but it's plenty hot, and I'll feel like I covered the bases.
We'll get some suffering out of it, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I also have a cut in my mouth, and if it totally, if I pass out on the first one, then I might not. We'll see, but I think it'll be okay.
So if I'm doing the reviews next week, Edo didn't make it.
Yeah, I didn't make it. But Hot Ones, really fun show. It's great. Sean Evans does an amazing job.
Yeah.
So certainly check that out. And if you like hot sauces, there's a lot of great hot sauces on that show. I've really started to
I'm not even an enormous hot sauce fan, but you turned me on to Hot Ones last year, and now I'm a regular viewer. It's a great show for a lot of reasons. For sure.
So let's jump in, though, to the Kickstarter Top 10 2017. These are ones that I reviewed. So Seth doesn't play every game with me, but almost every game I've reviewed, he's in one of the plays. So he's pretty familiar with all these. But diving into some honorable mentions, these are games, and I was looking through the list. I did so many Kickstarter reviews this year, right? Mm-hmm. So many.
It's been an amazing year for Kickstarter. Lots of games coming out, and so lots for you to review.
Yeah, awesome. So super fun, tons of games. It was a really hard list to make. So honorable mentions, though, games that stood out to me. One was Mars Open. It was towards the end of the year.
Yeah. And
this was a flick golf game set in Mars.
Dexterity game, yeah.
And it really, Bellwether Games, and really just it's golf, but it was novel and fun, and the dynamic of the flicking square trapezoid thing really was fun. Very impressed with it. It funded, and he was actually at BGG Con.
Yep, I saw him there.
And he is amazing at crazy shots.
Well, and just the sheer amount of replayability that's packed in that box. You can, they give you a lot of courses to play, but you can build your own. It's one of those great games that's as much a toolkit as anything. Right,
absolutely. The next honorable mention is Dark is the Night. I actually it's up there on the shelf. I'm not going to reach up and get it. You might not even be on camera. But the retail physical one came out. But Dark is the Night is by Ape Games. Really fast, asynchronous. One player's a hunter in the middle. The other player's a monster in the darkness around. And you're sort of trying to shoot an arrow at the monster while I'm just trying to eat you.
Right.
It plays in 3 to 5 minutes. It's a game where you can just set up, make the wrong choice, and get killed. It's it's its own little weird thing.
I remember the night it came in. I think we probably played it 6, 8, 10 times before we moved on to another game. It's a lot of fun.
And the execution, I'm going to do an unboxing because I was really just impressed by the box. So Dark as the Night, if you just want an interesting, small, quick 2-player game, it comes with a miniature too. I highly recommend it. Yeah. So the next one was Fruit Ninja Cardmaster. Now this one's a little disappointing because Lucky Duck Games because the Kickstarter failed. he was doing 3 different versions, and it was this huge campaign, and Fruit Ninja, and it was, I think it might have funded, but not sort of in the way it was expecting, and so he's reworking it. I don't know what the plan is there from Vincent, but fast-paced, not dexterity, but slap. I guess that's dexterity.
Very quick play.
Quick reaction.
Lots of table slapping.
Yeah. Game with sleeved cards and upgrading your cards as you go, and it was great.
Well, and like so many of the games he's doing, it really captures what's great about Fruit Ninja, the app game, but really doesn't forget that it's also a tabletop game. There's a lot of really fun stuff there.
Yeah. I was very impressed with it. Yeah. And last mention is Bridges to Nowhere. Bridges to Nowhere was a really pleasant, pretty game where you're essentially building bridges to nowhere.
Truth in advertising.
But it was sort of a set, not set collection so much as set expansion. What would you call that?
That's actually one of the ones I didn't play with you. So.
Oh, well, so you're trying to make a bridge, and you're trying to just make, not sets, but, scoring multiples by doing different combinations on different levels. So I want to say set management. It's like hand management, but on the table. Table management. Right. I don't know what it's called. But really cute, pleasant. They had a really cool video for the Kickstarter, high-end animation, but did well, and I haven't seen it yet, though, so it probably hasn't reached retail yet. Okay, so let's get into the actual list. At number 10, we have Rise to Nobility. Now, Rise to Nobility is by Frontier Games, and it is the people who did Cavern Tavern.
Right.
And it's like an expansion of the universe or the world, but like whatever. It's basically this giant dice worker placement manipulation game where you've got like your own little neighborhood in front of you and this huge board, and you're competing with different dice, drafting things to get resources and not there's a ship area and the card area and the building area and the followers area. Great art.
There's a lot going on, but I think about halfway into the first game, everything kind of clicked, and we really dug in and had a lot of fun, and it's one of those great games where it's kind of a race to the end.
Yeah, for sure. And it has a learning curve. It's a big game, bigger. I tend not to, for those who don't know, I do Kickstarter reviews for free. People submit. However, if you sit to me, I want to get it, all the good information. I got to look at it, and you need to give me enough time. But to some degree, I got to think I'm going to like it. So there are some heavier media war type games that are just like, go talk to these other reviewers because they're going to do a better job for you, right? But so Rise to Nobility is one of the heavier on the list, but really well done and well executed. Then you have number 9, Dice Hospital. Rise to Nobility destroyed its goal. I mean, huge fund. Dice Hospital, Alley Cat Games, they had done Cauldron, this little game. They had done Lab Wars, these little games. Dice Hospital is another dice game.
Right.
Where it's dice, worker placement, but everyone has their own hospital, right? So it's really dice drafting. There's
the dice are the patients that are coming into the hospital, and it's not so much placement as you're effectively, dice are coming in and you're trying to clear them out.
Right, that's true.
Right.
And they're coming into your hospital and you're using different dice to cure them and help them. But you have this nice ambulance drafting system where like a guy who's a 1 and on a die, he's about to die. Like critical condition. Whereas a 6 is like got a cough.
Right.
And so when the drafting comes out, they stack in terms of urgency. There's like the crazy ambulance that's like on fire with dead people coming in. And then there's the one that's like, there's walk-ins. And so you have to think about how aggressive you want to go, and if you're willing to take the really sick people and take some of the advantage there, and if you're going to wait, and they give you like a blood bag and these things. But really smart, really thematic, solid, right? I mean, I think this is still in the category where I think some people like it, some people feel it's like a little solo. It's not there's not that much player-to-player dynamics in the game.
But it's still a lot of fun. The gears are turning. They take that simple core mechanic and do some really fun stuff with it.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's Dice Hospital. Another campaign blew through their goal.
Right.
And really, and I think the guy's name is Mike Judd. Is that his name? I'm sorry. I probably like first initial last name switched, but he was the guy that did the B game, which I really liked. And I'm not recalling it, but good designer, really well executed. Number 8, and I should have numbered these. I'm going to count them each time. But number 8.
No, don't worry. I'm waiting for 5, so I'll know when that is.
Number 8 is Haunt the House. So Haunt the House is by Kids Table Board Games, or Board Gaming, and it's probably their third. They did Food Fighter, and then like Problem Picnic, Problem, Ant Problem Picnic, whatever. And I for sure like this one the most of all the ones they've done so far.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And killer Kickstarter campaign, modestly good, solid Kickstarter campaign. Like nothing like the other ones, but they had a Kickstarter exclusive glow in the dark box. It was bonkers. It was bonkers.
For all those game stores that stay awake 24 hours.
Yeah, you got to have it. But I think it was Kickstarter exclusive, so not for those game stores. I'm not sure.
For when you're gaming at night.
For you're already giving it. But that game, you are the house, or the ghosts or whatever, and all of these monster ghost hunters are entering the house, and you're trying to scare them away. And everyone's sort of contributing to scaring them, but you want to be the one to actually
be the scariest.
Yeah. It's cute, it's fun, the art is fantastic, and it really fits the mission of what they're doing, which is just this really fantastic family gaming where the kids are having fun and can play by themselves, but if adults are playing, it's cool.
It's kind of got that scary theme without being too scary for the kids.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that, and it's a really cool team.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to post around here, but I actually interviewed both Josh and Helena Capital.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be fun in a Q&A.
Yeah.
Next up, number 7 is Rise of Tribes. So Rise of Tribes is by Breaking Games, and it's sort of their big foray into the strategy game market. You know, I should have put the campaign numbers. Perhaps, with the exception of one higher up, the highest funding, they did somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000, unlocked all these different components and wooden meeples. But Rise of Tribes is very much that family weight strategy game where you're essentially you're
two competing tribes.
Or more.
More, I guess we played 2 players.
Yeah. There's 3 players. I played at the Protospiel. But anyway, so you are moving through essentially a hex board that gets laid out and gathering resources and using set collection. What's really interesting about the game is actually this dice mechanic they have at the top, where you essentially roll at the top of the board like suns and moons. And based on whether it's all moons or all suns or what combination, you get a different payout. And every time you want to select or go, you're on the beginning of your turn, you're rolling a die and you're putting it into the lineup. So you're changing what that composition is, both for you, but
and
then
for the
next player.
Right. Yeah. You're taking opportunities and building them at the same time. It's really great.
Yeah, and really simple selection, but enough going on with all the other little doodads and action cards and sets and bonuses that it feels compelling and fresh. And I've played it even more since.
Yeah, I mean, we played. I think it was a prototype for the Kickstarter, and I immediately backed it when the campaign launched, and I think it may be the game I'm looking forward to delivering the most that I backed in 2017.
Yeah, it was definitely one that I kept on my shelf for a long time.
Yeah.
To play with other people after the fact. So this is 6. This is 6. This is 6.
We're getting close.
This is 6.
Are you starting to sweat?
No, but man, I know what's coming. So for number 6 is Tyler Sigmund's. That's right. Yeah, Crows. I don't think we played it together.
That's one of the ones I missed.
I've played it a number of times. I've played it with the family and other people. But Tyler Sigmund's Crows is this one. It's by Spirit Junk Games, and it is essentially an abstract strategy game where you are placing crows on this on tiles. And trying to essentially, you're trying to get the crows to go to your obelisk. So there are crows that get summoned, and then you're placing your obelisk, and anyone in your row goes to you or your column. So you're basically trying to get all these crows to come to you.
Sure.
And you're thwarting each other and playing action cards. But then when all the crows come together, the moment that there's 6, it's a murder of crows. But they then spiral out from the place that where they grouped. And this is really neat dynamic. And I don't know, I loved it. I was really impressed. I oftentimes won't, I mean, sometimes I back games. Sometimes, you know, they'll send a copy afterwards. I don't know. Usually I'll go in for $1. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when I'm like, I'm in. I want that game. Mm-hmm. So I did on that one, and I'm really excited about it. But
when it comes in, I want to play it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So that's Tyler Sigmund's Crows. So that brings us to 5. And wasn't this nice? I wasn't stopping every second. So this is the...
If you collapse, I'm ready to step in. I think I played the rest of the games on the list here. So.
This is the dark red. You can smell it. Megadeth sauce. Blair's Megadeth Liquid Rage.
Let's see if it clears my sinuses.
Be careful, man.
Yeah.
And so now what happens on the show, this is the 10th sauce up until the last season, and it's dressed or whatever you call it.
Covered. The last one. The hottest?
It's the hottest, but it's also it's already got the sauce on it, but in addition, they then put a dab on it.
So have you been training for this all year, or is this the first time you've had hot sauce since last year?
It's not the first time, but I was absolutely training more last time. I'm coming in like, whatever, and I'm going to regret it. And this is a hot, you know, on one hand, you sort of build over time and you get the sweats, but like, there's a progression. This is just going to be like stepping in and getting punched in the face. Mm-hmm. So let me get this, let's carefully do this here. This
so
is like
I'm not a medical professional, but I feel I should look and make sure you don't have anything hidden in your mouth.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, good.
I do have the little cup. Oh, yeah. All right. So, oh, God. All right, so...
It looks almost like ketchup.
It looks like ketchup. So, here's the wing. There's the dab in there. I don't want to spill any of it. That's pretty sizable, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not, but...
We'll find out.
I don't want to touch my...
Doesn't want to touch your fingers to anything else.
No.
All right, are you ready to dive into the second half of the list? Or?
Didn't you have a couple Kickstarter?
I do. I have a couple games that came through Kickstarter that I can talk about. Kind of my own mentions. One of the Kickstarters I'm always a fan of is Button Shy Games. For a long time now, has been running Kickstarters for their micro games. I actually back their Patreon as well to get some of the extra content they put out through that. But I think quarterly now they're running Kickstarters for 3 at a time. They used to run them monthly, 1 at a time. Now you get 3 at a time. And one of my favorites is one of their recent ones, Circle the Wagons.
I haven't played it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. We're going to have to play it. Where you're placing cards and maneuvering cards. A lot of fun. If you haven't played any of their micro games, almost all of them are worth checking out. They've done games in a huge variety of genres. They did a 18-card 4X game called Universal Rule. It was a lot of fun.
We played that one.
Yeah. They did a racing game that I played with you, Turbo Drift.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pocket games, that was I think may have been one of the first pocket games they did, Avignon, which is a kind of maneuvering game. Is a lot of fun. But those are definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked them out before.
All right. What's interesting is with the sequence, mm-hmm. You're building, you're eating, mm-hmm. And it's this progression. I can actually feel where it is.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
In my body right now. Which wasn't really like... It's sort of like if you wake up and you have something like... You have like rice and you have that hot thing of rice and you're like...
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this because like I must have just lit up my whole head.
You're definitely... You're flushing and...
Oh, man. It's so hot. Okay.
And there are celebrities who struggle to answer questions at this point on Hot Ones. So now you're ready to dive in and talk about a whole 5 more games.
Yeah. Well, but this is why when I got into this right at the end, the one I wanted to talk about the most, it was the worst.
Yeah. Something
I forgot to say. I made award badges. So everyone who is in the top 10 is going to get a little...
Oh, nice.
Edo's Game Reviews Kickstarter Top 10.
Cool.
Put on their box or on their website. Or never. Or whatever. Number 5. Dice Throne. Mind Bottling Games.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I always say Mind Bolting, and I find their logo confusing, but they love me. Manny, Nate, I'm sorry. This is, I think the quote I said on it was, Magic the Gathering meets King of Tokyo plus anime or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They use it in a bunch of places. Really simple Yahtzee-style game, but where each player is playing as a character with a bunch of abilities. And so you're spending your dice to unlock and use your different attacks and abilities on the other guy.
Right.
Fast, easy, everyone knows how to play Yahtzee. It's really got that King of Tokyo thing, but they execute in a different angle, and it just works. The art is fantastic, and Kickstarter did really well.
For good reason. I mean, everyone's playing the same game, but, given the variety of characters and things, that everyone is kind of approaching it from their own direction, and it's a lot of fun.
Totally. And I've since seen they had at Gen Con the early production copy, and they actually created individual holders for each of the characters. So you basically get a box with the 8 characters or 6 characters, however many they unlocked. And you can just pick it up, have all your stuff, and put it back.
Oh, cool.
Really awesome. They just teamed up with Roxley. I think Roxley's now going to publish the game, or future editions or retail. But what an amazing partnership. Really great guys as well. Had the opportunity to meet with them at Gen Con. They were on my show for the Q&A. Really, that's a really fun Q&A, by the way. Very impressed with Dice Throne. Successful campaign. Couple of small ones, actually, that you might not have, might not be as well known. Next up, number 4, is Lucidity. Now, I, of course, didn't put all of the names of the companies next to these games. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who published Lucidity. Shannon Kelly did it, but I don't remember the name of the company. So I'm going to put up their logo. I'm going to say I apologize, but I forget because the game is so good. This is number 4.
Yeah, this is another one that I didn't get a chance to play with you, but you've talked about it a lot. So.
Yeah, and big campaign, really successful. I think they partnered with they partnered with Passport or Renegade. I don't remember who they partnered with, but it's coming stateside. And really simple push your luck game where you are manipulating dreams, but trying not to become one of the terrors of the dream. But if you do, it's this role reversal, and you then have a different win condition, and you're trying to attack all the other players. Really simple. One of the novel things is when you play, you get to pick what press your luck track you want to be on. So you can have, like, I feel sweaty all over. You can... It's a really pretty simple standard. The dice are gorgeous.
I was just going to say, I remember seeing the Kickstarter campaign with dice.
It's a pretty creepy looking game otherwise. I think they even did, like, art as part of the Kickstarter. I don't know if it's in retail for, like, a kids-like version. Because, I even said, it's like, boy, this is really... sort of Tales from the Crypt style Kruger horror stuff.
Not a game to play with your kids right before bed.
No, not at all. Wow. It is just, it's coming out my nose.
It went down and now it's coming back.
What a powerful thing.
How many servings are in a bottle like this? What does it say?
I mean, you're supposed to use like a pin drop.
So, yeah, there are 30 servings in here. You think you had 1/30th of the bottle?
More, for sure. This was, I sauced it with, I hadn't, anyway, whatever.
So.
Oh, okay.
Lucidity.
Really enjoyed it. On the light side, right? Simple game, but fun. Next up, number 3.
Number 3, getting towards the top.
And Lucidity, Australian. Number 3 is also Australian. Again... I'm sorry. Before I had my hot sauces, I had these companies in my head, and now I've lost it all. And I'm sorry. I will post it on the page, but the brigade is fantasy firefighters. You are you lay out a tile board. It's like Fantasyland, and everything's on fire.
A city.
It's a city.
You lay out city blocks.
City blocks.
With
it's
the Pyromancer University at the center. And that's where the fire's coming from.
And what you're trying to do is move around, putting out fires, leveling up your firefighters. You have your wagon. You have your dude, and you can have like additional characters that join your team. Mm-hmm. And every turn the fire shifts. There's like wind, and every fire goes to the right and left, and you're trying to essentially you're competing with other brigades to be like the coolest. So like people remember. Ooh, sorry about that. People who remember who saved them.
Yeah.
And so, you're like leaving your tokens around, but just fun.
Yeah.
And
I remember when the game arrived and we set it out on the table. I said, "Oh wow, this really looks thematic. I bet the mechanics are gonna stink because they're one of those theme-driven designers." It turns out that the mechanics are really fun. Like the mechanics really work with the theme, and it's just a lot of fun. It's another one of those games that you got a preview before the Kickstarter launched, and day one the Kickstarter launched, and I backed it. And again, the Kickstarter was enormously successful, and they did nothing but add more cool stuff to it.
Yeah, can't wait for that one. And sort of got a Forbidden Desert vibe a little bit. It's not cooperative. Maybe you don't think so, but
it's not all that cooperative. And
I guess in the way the desert moves,
it's got the same kind of ticking clock of disaster thing going.
Yeah. All right. Number two. Sorry. For those who haven't seen last year's, it was like this the whole time.
It was. With him taking hot sauce in between each of the games. That's why they saved them on YouTube. Go back and watch that one when you're done with this one.
My glasses are steaming. Oh my gosh. Okay. Number two. Role Player. Monsters and Minions. Mm-hmm. By Keith Mateka. Mateka Money. Mm-hmm. And Thunderworks Games. Both last year, this year, I played Role Player for the first time. Mm-hmm. And Role Player Monsters and Minions. And I was just so impressed and amazed by that expansion. I love Role Player.
Yeah.
It may be on the other list. And what impressed me so much is we get the expansion, and it feels like it's a complicated mess. Like if you watch that video, you're like, man, this game did not need everything in the kitchen sink, and you have all these pieces like you're adding in, and you've got the monsters and the experience and the town, and you're just like, new dice.
Like Role Player was a solid game to begin with.
Yeah, it was totally the game you didn't need to do anything to. And it was so interesting because he basically found this one branching point in the game where it was sort of like not the best decision when you didn't want something from the market. Mm-hmm. And they opened up this whole other branch of stuff, and that's where everything was layered in.
Right.
And it just worked, and it was great.
And it really does address something that you may not have even noticed was missing in the original Role Player, but it really does add to it, where, now instead of just kind of fleshing out your character, now your character has something to do, and you go and you fight monsters, and it really adds a little more action to the game.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just, it was great. And now I've worked with Keith. He was done a bunch of solo designs for Pencil First Games. We have a game that we're working on. It's called Hollow, but it's great, and he's got more Role Player stuff in the works, and I think it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that stuff to come in. Hopefully I'll get to preview them. All right.
One more. Can you make it?
I can't. Well, It's not. It's 10 more after this. Number one. This was a late one. This is towards the end of the year. I actually still have it right behind me. I thought I did. I do. This is...
yeah.
Monster Slaughter by Ankama Games. Now, one of the interesting things about this one up front was like, I get Kickstarter reviews. A lot of people send me their games, but I get mostly the indie folk, indie and mid. I'm getting some more, but I don't usually get like, hey, these are the guys done tons of games, and apparently they like separated from, I don't know if they were with Asmodee or Simon, or maybe they were Simon. They were with Simon. They sort of went their own way. But somehow I got this review copy, and I was really surprised, a preview copy. And it's, you're going to have to, I'm not going to open this thing because I didn't open anything else. But if you look at the review I did, the box picks up, and there's this cabin in the woods in the center. And you put doors on the cabin, and then you create a circular perimeter out of it. Mm-hmm. Super thematic and really just
super high production value. Yeah. It's terrific.
It's terrific. And you play as a...
Not as the people hiding
not as the teenagers who are partying and having a blast. You play as the monsters, but a family. So you can be like the vampire family or the zombie family.
Or the Frankenstein
family. And there's a mom, a dad, and a kid. Mm-hmm. And they all have little tweaks to their numbers and their stats. And it's really just, mostly just a roll, dice sort of, thrashy game. But it's got a really interesting find the kids reveal. You're drawing from a deck to see if you can find them, and you're getting items.
And there's a little bit of strategy in that you have to cycle through the entire family before you can use a member of the family again. So if you send in the dad first, then the mom and the kid have to go before you can use the dad again. So there's a little bit of strategy of what level of power is appropriate to that moment.
And you make a bet on when you think the different humans are going to die, which I loved. You that was the one thing that you sort of didn't like as much.
Yeah, I mean, you have to basically take some long bets and then try and manipulate the game to it.
Yeah.
But it does let you benefit off what other players are doing, right? Which is always a cool mechanic.
And the cool thing too is then as you're playing, you're like trying to help. You want to kill that kid, but the vampires are in there with him, so you toss him across. You're like, hey, here you go. Mm-hmm. This campaign is probably tied with Rise of Tribes. I'd have to look to see which one did better, but over $350,000. And they just kept unlocking miniature after miniature after miniature after.
It's one of those games where I think the preview copy we played felt like a complete game, and now they've kept adding more and more kind of amazing little bits in there.
Yeah, and hopefully the little bits continue to make it good. Sometimes that can run.
I think it will. I think there are more options. Like if you don't want to play the Frankenstein family, well, now you can play. I think the Alien family has been added. Or there's another great little mechanic where there are surprises. So you bust in the room, and you think, oh, I'm going to kill another teenager, and it turns out it was the sheriff who was wandering through the woods.
We had the sheriff, but then they added the vampire hunter and the X-File agents and the Crocodile Dundee guy.
Not actually Crocodile Dundee.
No, but pretty close. I mean, they basically we're just going to make pop culture miniatures.
And they're pretty great. It's one of those ones where, maybe I'll back it just for the miniatures. But you also get a good game. So.
Yeah, well, and we didn't play with miniatures. They were just standees, and I thought that was fine.
Yeah.
So, those were the top 10 Kickstarter games previewed this year, and coming out next year, presumably, and hopefully just as good. We are going to take a brief break. It may be longer in internet days, and come back. We're going to do the top 10 games of the year, and I am going to move on to Hot Ones, The Last Dab. So if you want to see that, come join that other video in a few minutes. All right. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.